Good afternoon, students. Welcome to the last lesson of urban tourism, which focuses on leisure in the urban environment. In this topic, we're looking at three topics, or in this subject or course, we'll be looking at three topics. The first one is defining what leisure is. And then the second point, we'll be looking at the development or the history of how leisure started. And then the third and last point, we'll be looking at leisure suppliers and demand. So what is leisure? Leisure is actually the discretionary time or the extra time that individuals have to spend on activities such as shopping, relaxation, recreation, basically to satisfy themselves. Apart from work, they have that extra time and that discretionary income to spend to basically satisfy their needs towards certain activities such as shopping and also entertainment. Now, how did leisure develop? All right. They say that the concept of leisure, it's not a new concept. It started way before. It originated in the past when basically leisure developed from individuals wanting leisure time for festivals and celebrations in religious natures. Even in the Bible, it is mentioned that in the ancient times, people would have festival in events to entertain themselves. And so it came from a not only in this society, but from a primitive society that existed way, 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 way before even our grandparents were born, where people would go hunting, for example, to gather food, and it was for leisure purpose. In order to find a meal for their families, or some of them would do it to entertain themselves and their children. Harvesting was also part or seen as part of leisure in those years. Dancing, cultural dancing, was also part of leisure activities in those primitive societies. And as we move from primitive society to ancient times, people, especially the wealthy society, basically seen or saw leisure as part of recreation and relaxation, where they would use music and drinking and events to make it part of enjoyment and relaxation. And so even in the Greek history, it is leisure was part of the Greek history, where the wealthy Greeks, would promote leisure through sports, through lifestyle, through dancing events and shows, cultural events. Even in the Roman times, leisure was actually, a time was set aside for leisure and entertainment, where the Romans would have events, parties to host their guests, especially the rich Romans, okay, to eat and drink, you know. So leisure has not just come, it comes even from the primitive stage to the ancient, to the Greek, even into the Middle Ages and to the Renaissance and Reform stages. In the Middle Ages, from the 10th to the 14th century, people enjoyed themselves, especially the rich, through music and hunting, and drinking and gambling, and even having bullfights. That was part of leisure. And in the Renaissance times, in the 15th century, people enjoyed themselves. The medieval times, people also enjoyed themselves through dancing, drama, bullfighting, and so forth. So leisure actually has evolved over the years and changed over the years from not only the wealthy society, but also to the middle class. And so people have gone to availing more time, to themselves, to relax and to have a good. So up to now, from the 17th century, people and countries and cities have gone and developed major events, that involve leisure. The Grand Prix tours, sports events, even in towards the Industrial Revolution, people are still developing events, worldwide events, basically to cater for leisure. And so leisure has become part of tourism as a major event or an activity in tourism. Even in the Victorian age, from the 19th century, it was seen as part of the tourism industry. Even Thomas Cook promoted it. Water sports, through trains or railway, through events, music shows, movie shows, and so forth, up to into the 20th century. Television, dancing, gyms, and cinemas, and so forth. So leisure is really a major part of tourism now. So the growth of leisure, there is now more available time for individuals to take part in leisure activities, because of people are now moving towards early retirement. People now have enough time by reducing their working hours. Employers are providing more opportunities to employees to take time off, to relax. People have more paid hours or enough income to sustain their leisure activities. New technologies now promoting, leisure activities. People now have high life expectancies, and enough disposable income, extra income to spend on leisure activities. And also, people have more flexible hours and times for leisure. So leisure activities, they vary across the globe. Gone are the days when leisure activities was just more for healthy people and it was more focused on events. Now people are doing individual activities. Reading is also part of leisure. Culture has become part of leisure. Going to cinemas, eating out has become part of leisure. Watching music shows has become part of leisure. Even spending time and relaxing with family and friends has now become part of a leisure activity. So leisure has gone to become a varied activity for individuals and also. So that's why the sector has now increased and become bigger, because in the tourism industry, when we used to talk about tourism, we normally just used to focus on the hospitality sector, the accommodation facility, the transport sector. But now we're integrating and we're creating more and more suppliers in the industry. We see that we have even cinemas, we have sports shows, we have events, music shows now, we have TV companies or television companies or entertainment companies. So the suppliers are also increasing, they're becoming international, all right? So the leisure industry is growing and it's becoming commercialized, all right? And the demand is also increasing as more people are having disposable income to spend on leisure, on clothing. And that's why you see our cities are growing each and every day. They're paving way for shopping malls, they're paving way for water parks, they're paving way for natural parks, they're paving way for buildings, restaurants, hotels. The leisure industry is growing because the demand is increasing. And as the demand is increasing, it is also changing. Our young people are growing up and they're becoming responsible individuals that are making their own money and they can sustain their own needs. And so their needs are changing. And the industry needs to cater for all these demands, these leisure demands. So the demand is ever changing and the suppliers need to be there and ready to achieve these demands. So thank you for listening in on this lecture.